Let's talk about stakeholder analysis first. Okay, so we talked about stakeholder analysis, issue registers, Pareto analysis. Let's talk about stakeholder analysis. Stakeholder analysis, what we do in this type of analysis, we gather data from all the different sources. Now, as I said, when you look at a business process, there's always multiple perspectives, different ways to look at this process. We can look at it from the customer point of view, the owner's point of view, and there's other stakeholders as well. So in BPM, okay, stakeholder analysis, we use it often to gather information about issues. So we might have many issues affecting the performance of our process, and what we're trying to do is narrow them down. There might be typically 5 categories of stakeholders. Okay, we always have the customer of a process. So we talked about the customer of a process from week 1. Every process has got a customer. There will also be other participants in a process, those undertaking the activities involved in the process participants. There might be other external parties, and we can talk about suppliers or subcontractors. They might be involved in the process as well. We always have the process owner. Okay, so every process, we talked about this in week 1 or 2, every process should have an owner. And then there's always a process sponsor. Okay, so that might be the executive managers at the business. So you might be working for a business, you might be the process owner, but of course you report to the executive managers, and they're the process sponsors. So we've got those 5 categories of stakeholders. Now, each one of those will have a different perspective of the business process. If you look at it from the point of view of the customer, what are the major concerns from the customer? Customers are typically concerned about, let me just choose my red pen, slow cycle times, defects, and lack of transparency. They're what your typical stakeholder concerns are. Now, particularly slow cycle times. You get on the internet, you order something from Amazon.com, and it comes in a reasonable time. You get onto other online stores, and it might take longer. So, for instance, a few years ago, I was ordering something online, and I was after a particular piece of software, and I found that the bit of software I wanted was from a place in St Kilda, which is just on the other side of Melbourne, place in St Kilda, and they had the software I wanted, so I ordered that online. And on the same day, I actually ordered something from Amazon.com, which was something quite different. I think it was a movie or something. Anyway, Amazon.com, located in the US. I got my parcel from Amazon.com in 3 days. It took me 2 weeks to get the parcel from St Kilda. Okay, slow cycle time. Defects. Customers are always concerned with defects. The final product they get, whether it's some sort of service or if it's some physical good, if there's a defect in it, the defect has to be fixed or something has to be done. So customers are concerned with defects. They're also concerned with lack of transparency, or in some cases, traceability. Inability to observe the current process status. And this is why when you order goods from a lot of companies now, a lot of them will get tracking numbers, and you can get on and you can track. That gives the customer some sort of idea of tracing where things are going. Okay, process participants. Okay, so we'll move away from the stakeholders now. What about the process participants, the other people involved in carrying out the activities of the process? What are they concerned about? They might be concerned about high resource utilisation or working under stress. They might be concerned about defects arising from handoffs in the process and waste. So if you have multiple participants working on a business process, then one of those participants might be concerned with one activity, and then they have a handoff to another activity. So they might be concerned about the defects arising from their particular handoff. You might get external parties, suppliers and some subcontractors. What are they normally concerned about? They're normally concerned about having a steady or growing stream of work from the process. So they're interested from their perspective of making sure the process keeps going so they keep getting work out of it. And if they're aware of the continuing stream of work, then they can plan ahead and they can meet any contractual requirements that they may have. The process owner is normally concerned with the performance of the process. Now, whether the performance takes into account the cycle times or processing times, They may even be concerned about defects and wastage as well. So the process owner has a different perspective. And of course, the sponsor, the high-level managers or executives from the industry where the process is actually working at, they're concerned with the strategic alignment of the process and the contribution of the process to key performance indicators. That's what their main concern is. So you can see all these different stakeholders will have a different perspective on it, and they have different concerns. So what we want to do then is we want to identify these issues and concerns that they all have, and we want to put them together into an issue register. So we organise a document. We organise and we document all the issues, and once we have them documented, we can assess them. Now, until we actually document them formally, a lot of the issues may be just anecdotal, and it's really hard to undertake a major review and try and fix something when all you have is anecdotal evidence. Because anecdotal evidence, it needs to be documented properly, and once we do that, then we have quantitative data we can work on. Now, and then what we try and do is, once we have all that documented, we then try and assess the impact quantitatively as well as qualitatively. And we'll get into quantitative analysis in the following weeks. Okay, so the key role of the issue register. So its main purpose is to maintain, organise and prioritise any weaknesses we can see in the process, so any issues which have arose. Arose isn't a good word. We also document in the issue register the sources of the issue. So when an issue arises, we find out what causes the issue. Where does it come from? Sometimes it's not quite so obvious where an issue might come from. We look at the input to a process. So when we're looking for the sources, we look at the input to a process. We also the sources we collect as part of an ongoing process improvement actions, and we see what's collected during the process discovery. And we look at value and added waste analysis. So we look at, we're trying to find all the sources of the issues.
The Victorian Institute of Technology has other great videos covering many different topics. Please check them out, and thanks for watching. Remember to like and subscribe the video for more great content like this.